Okay, everyone, so Tony's brother gave him some deer meat from a fresh kill that he had. So we're gonna make a deer roast in our slow cooker crock pot. I'm gonna make it just like I would a beef roast, a chuck roast. So I've got my savory pot roast seasonings. You can add your own seasonings. I've got a great recipe I use for strictly seasonings that I put together, homemade. But here is, I love the McCormick slow cooker seasoning. And what I'm gonna do with that is go ahead, I'll show you that real quick. I've got his brother put this in a little baggie for him.
Yep.
I'm gonna actually put some of this seasoning inside the bag with the roast. And I'm gonna take that, yeah, about just that little bit, about half of it. And then I'll close that back up. And I'm just gonna shake that around in there. You know how the old school shake and bake that we all grew up with, all the ones in our 40s and 50s and 60s. We grew up with what was called shake and bake. So I'm just massaging that seasoning onto that deer meat in there. I'll get it turned around here in just a second. But I wanted to show you what else we have. I'm going to use about, I don't know, maybe a few cups of carrots. And I'll put these on the bottom. I don't really have a measurement. Maybe about that many. So that's about a cup and a half. And then about 2 small onions, 3 or 4 potatoes, and then 3 stalks of celery. So, and then I'm also going to use some vegetable bouillon and some olive oil. So I also put olive oil in here. And I'll saute this. So we'll show you sauteing this meat in just a second. So let me go ahead. Just let all that, and then so we'll do a saute on that in just a second. We'll show you that. So that kind of gets it a good brown. Why we're doing that is because that will help that meat as it's inside the cookery. It'll help it hold in its juices as it's cooking, and it just makes it super moist. So the next clip will show you all this cut up, and we'll season our onions and celery. So now I've got I just now put these in here. It's the 2 onions, 3 stalks of celery. I've got a little butter and some olive oil with salt and pepper. And then over here, just for a little bit of added taste, if you've never used the bouillon, this is called Premium Better Than Bouillon Seasoned Vegetable Bake. Absolutely delicious. It's got garden carrots, celery, onions, and tomatoes, but it just brings another level of something to your food. So I'm going to add about 1/4 of a cup of water to that. And that's kind of my broth. That's my broth that I'm making. Let's do a 1/2 cup. Because I don't want to add too much water. I don't like a ton of water in my... And then you can either whisk it. But you see I'm mixing that in there with the water. I mean mixing the bouillon. So you can buy regular bouillon cubes. I just get a spoonful, which is about a big tablespoon. And I mix that in. And that gives you that tomato element, which is in most roasts that folks, if you don't make roast, you don't understand that there's actually tomato in it. And that gives it, because my husband does not like a lot of tomato, the feel of tomato. So here you see I've put the carrots in. That's about 1.5 cups of the little baby carrots.
I can feel some heat coming up. You got to turn it
Yep.
on.
So I've got that turned on. I've already turned it on at 8 hours, so it's already heated up. It's cooking. And as soon as these saute a little bit, I'm going to throw the deer meat over here on this side in just a second. But I like these to saute a whole lot. By the time the roast is done, this is disintegrated almost, the onions and celery down to nothing. And you're really just tasting you feel the hints of it. Without
the essence of it.
The essence of it. I love that. The essence of it. And here's the 3 potatoes. So what I do is mandolin. I don't throw these in when I put the roast on. These will go in the last hour. So when this says that I am at 7 hours or so, here it is, yeah. So when it's down to about 6 hours, it says 1 hour left, excuse me, that's when I'll throw these on. Okay. And I don't put them in the beginning or they'll be mush. And I just leave them on top. We'll show you all that. So now we've sauteed the onions and celery. I'm going to let them keep cooking. So we've got the meat, which we put the olive oil and the pot roast seasoning from the packet inside of there. And we're going to pull the meat out. And you just want to get it seared on each side is what you're doing. You're searing it on all sides. And the reason you're doing that is it helps it to hold in the flavor. I don't really know how to tell you how long, just enough. You're not trying to cook it. You're just getting a good little coating of searing on the outside so that the juices stay inside when it's inside the pot. So I would go ahead and let that keep running, Tony. Right. So here's in one sear. Here. Now, go ahead and turn it over. And some folks may want to put flour on theirs, but you just make sure that each side gets a nice good sear. So here I'm getting every single little side. So I want the meat to stay inside, or the juice to stay inside the meat. So now let's go ahead and put it in the crock pot. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Let me get the top off over here. We're gonna put it on top of those carrots. So I'm actually gonna put the meat on first. Big old piece there in the middle. Let's get a little piece there on the side. I pour the butter, juices, everything in there with it, right on top. Alright folks, so I totally forgot to tell you, I also, to my pot roast, add a golden mushroom soup can. And I usually like the Campbell's brand. But again, it's golden mushroom, not just plain cream of mushroom. And there's a difference. There is a difference in the taste. So let me get a little spatula here, and I just put that right on top, and you can add more water if you want to. So we'll see how this tastes. But any to my pot roast, I add that little golden mushroom. You can make this by scratch, your own little soup concoction, or mushrooms. Add wild mushrooms, or add your mushrooms to it. Okay, so that's all the liquid that we're going to add to that. And let's just see, let it cook for the next 7.5 hours. People, I'm 48 years old. Am I 48 or 49?
I don't know how old you are.
How old am I? I don't even know.
Born in 75, right? So you're 48?
I'm totally in hot flash city now. Okay, this has been cooking for 8 hours.
It smells really great.
It just finished.
Looks great too.
I forgot to show you, but I threw the potatoes in. Yep. About 2 hours ago. You can tell. Look at that. They look great. They're completely done. So, but I don't add them in the beginning. So here's the actual main part of your meat. Roast. So let me just go ahead and what I do is go ahead and get out most of the. So I'll show you. It should. Yep. Yeah, look at that. Apart. So it's actually falling apart. That looks great. So look at that, folks. That's 8 hours of cooking.
Hope I'm not fogging up the thing. It looks great.
So that's 8 hours of cooking.
Amazing.
Here's another piece here. So deer roast in a crock pot. Look at that.
Yep.
Absolutely beautiful.
Really,
and then you can add all your vegetables. Yep. I can't think. Here to the side. And remember I told you earlier that the celery and onion, Tony can't really eat big pieces of onion uncooked, but most of that's almost disintegrated. Beautiful roast. So
yeah, it looks great.
We'll plate some here in just a second for Tony.
Gotta let it cool a little bit, but that looks fantastic.
But we'll plate some here in just a second and let Tony try it out for you.
Hendrix is just watching like, wow, it smells awesome, doesn't it? So that's how it turned out on the plate. It's beautiful. It smells amazing. I think Nikki wants to shoot video of me eating it. Oh man. Oh, okay. Look out. Thanks to my brother Tom Glenn for getting me this meat, because that is fantastic, and it's really good with the vegetables too. Oh, you gotta try some of this, baby.
I'm good.
you don't like to eat wild meat, but it don't taste wild at all. It tastes just amazing.
I'm good.
All right. A peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel you like. Go get you some deer meat. You'll love it.
Cha 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 cha. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Twitch your nose.
That is really good. Mm-mm-mm.